jobs, healthcare and immigration. The US midterm elections have been a tug-of-war over key issues. But for many Americans, Election Day will also be a referendum on President Donald Trump's first 2 years in the White House. His supporters credit him with making the country and their lives better.
He cares about everyone in the United States. He's the person that we needed, and that's the person we voted for, and hopefully we'll have him again for 4 more years after this term.
The Labour Department on Friday reported that 250,000 jobs were added to the workforce in October, and wages posted their biggest annual gain in almost a decade. The unemployment rate held steady at 3.7%, the lowest in half a century. And economic growth last quarter came in at a slower but still robust 3.5%. But Democrats say the economy was already in one of its longest recoveries before Trump took office.
He has inherited, these improving economic conditions because of President Obama, and he certainly doesn't deserve credit for them.
This election, however, is not all about jobs and growth. In the final stages of the campaign, Trump has ramped up his hardline rhetoric on immigration. He aims to drive Republican turnout as a caravan of migrants is heading towards the US-Mexico border.
Unvetted illegal aliens trying to flood into our country on your dollar, overwhelming your schools, depleting your resources, and endangering your community.
Yet it could be anger over his immigration policy, a trade war with China, and rising healthcare costs that will drive many Americans to vote for Democratic candidates. While the US doesn't have universal health coverage, reforms signed into law by former President Barack Obama have helped millions of Americans get insurance. But Republicans have fought to unravel Obamacare.
Cutting Medicare and Social Security in order to pay for a billionaire's tax cut does not sound like fighting for the little guy to me.
Analysts expect Republicans to retain control of the Senate and Democrats to regain control of the House of Representatives. If they do, they could strike down Republican legislation and start investigations into the president's finances and administration. The stakes are high in Tuesday's elections. They'll determine what kind of country Americans will live in for the next 2 years. Gavin Blackburn, TRT World.
And TRT World's editor-at-large, Craig Copetas, joins me now from Paris. Hi, Craig. We know Donald Trump has been spruiking his economic credentials on the campaign trail. I'm wondering, how hard is it for Democrats to argue against that, given that we have seen continued economic growth and record low unemployment?
Well, Trump is not thumping that economic tub on the campaign trail. In fact, he's told his acolytes that economics are boring, and he's turned his events into Chautauqua shows to gin up his base with things like pictures of barbed wire being strung up across the Mexican border, U.S. Army troops wandering Texas with guns, and telling his followers that he intends to shoot refugees and asylum seekers who throw stones at American soldiers, even though the refugees are hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the border.
Interesting. We also know that some people in Trump heartland, or traditional Trump heartland that is, have been suffering under this trade war that he started with China. Do you think that'll factor into the midterms in any way?
Yeah, I think it will, particularly in states like North Dakota. Look, in North Dakota, this year has had a bumper soybean crop. They got more soybeans than they know what to do with, but China is not buying. And soybeans are a good indicator. The Chinese purchases have declined 94% since last year's harvest. And the numbers are very, very important here, Oz, because it takes about $8.75 a bushel to make money doing soybeans. Last year, they were selling a bushel of soybeans for $10. Now the price is below $7 and dropping. So the farmers are starting to hurt, even with Trump's subsidies, which don't cover the shortfall.
And just quickly, Craig, some analysts are predicting a so-called blue wave of Democratic victories, but it could just as easily consolidate Trump's power. What do you think will happen?
Well, when you tune into TRT World tomorrow night to watch our coverage, you want to focus on 3 races. Georgia, where Stacey Abrams, a Democrat, is running against a Republican by the name of Brian Kemp. You want to focus on Texas, where you have a Democrat by the name of Beto O'Rourke going against Senator Ted Cruz. And in Florida, where you have a governor by a candidate for governor by the name of Americo Gillum, who's running against Ron DeSantos.
Okay, well, not long till we find out. Craig Copetas in Paris, thanks as always.